Look, we got out of here on Friday. And when we got out of here on Friday, we spent quite a bit of time talking what quarterback are we going with in the draft for the Panthers. And then by the time that I reached the loving halls of the Bon Secours Wellness Arena on Friday night for a hockey game, it was pointed out to me that the Carolina Panthers had made a trade and now hold the number 1 overall selection in the 2023 National Football League draft. Lonzo may have thought temporarily that he got his wish. The Cats go all in. They jump to number 1, and the likely selection is C.J. Stroud.
I did get my wish. You're gonna try to throw water on this fire, but you can't. It's gonna burn till the whole thing is consumed. C.J. Stroud, baby. Yeah.
So that was the initial thought, that C.J. Stroud will end up in Charlotte next year, that the Cats will roll the dice, and that may still possibly, potentially be true. Though it is not a guarantee, because now there are multiple reports starting to filter through that Carolina may still elect to trade back out of that number 1 overall spot. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it just depends on what quarterbacks they love, like, or dislike. The popular thought has been, whether its accuracy is in question or not is up to you. The popular thought has been that Carolina is deeply in love with the raw athleticism of one Anthony Richardson.
Stop it. Stop it.
If that is correct.
Heresy.
If that is correct, the Cats could trade back as far as 3.
But why? Why would you go all the way up to? I get that if you trade back, you're going to get some of those picks back.
Yep.
I get all that. But if you want the 3rd or 4th quarterback with a huge drop off from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, you want that guy? Why are you trading up to 1? Why trade up to get a guy who is a project when you can trade up to get a guy who can get you wins?
Here's why. There's 2 reasons. The first one is,
I hope this is all work towards me, and I hope you don't really believe this. I really hope you don't believe this.
It's very much not a work, and I am being quite serious with this. The first reason you trade up to 1 is that 1 was the only spot that was available. That's it. You're not going to see the Houston Texans trade back. You can't go to number 2. I don't see why the Arizona Cardinals wouldn't trade back, but they may have love for a guy like Will Anderson, like Jalen Carter, that they say, we don't want to drop any further back, because any further back than 5, and you take the risk that your guy's off the board. The fact that we have made it this deep into draft season and the Cardinals have yet to be even discussed as a potential dance partner, when we know the value of quarterbacks in this draft is inflated, they may not have been able to get to number 3 with Arizona. And the Colts sitting at number 4 are in that quarterback sweepstakes. So Indy is not moving back. The best you could have done is maybe try to jump to number 5, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because A, you run the risk that Arizona on draft day takes the risk and moves out of 3, and now you're screwed. You spent all that money to get to 5, and the only thing you're going to get out of it is a great defensive player. Or Arizona stays where they are. They take a defensive player, but Richardson comes off the board at 4, and you're sitting there with Will Levis as your only option. The second reason that they may trade up to 1 and then rock backwards and still select Anthony Richardson is that while the floor is currently lower than Stroud or Young, it is not an uncommon belief at this point that the ceiling for Richardson is higher than Stroud or Young. You are starting with less. You are starting with an uncut gem that lacks polish. It's going to need a lot of work. But the belief is that with the right coaching, with the right mentality, with the right mentoring from a veteran quarterback, it is possible, I'm not going to say probable, but it is possible that Anthony Richardson going, what was it, 6'4", 244 with the 4.44 40? Anthony Richardson is faster than Young and Stroud. He is significantly larger and faster than both Stroud and Young. And again, workout warriors are a cautionary tale. But Anthony Richardson was spinning the bean better at the combine than Stroud and Young.
No, he was not.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I watched all of it.
Anthony Richardson had the best deep ball at the combine.
No, he didn't.
He absolutely did.
No, he didn't. He didn't. That's a matter of opinion, and
Sure.
my opinion is that your opinion is wrong.
It's a hell of an opinion. Anthony Richardson, according to some analysts, had the best deep ball at the combine. So you would be rolling the dice there that Frank Reich, a guy noted for his ability to work with quarterbacks at the league level, is going to be the correct mentor and coach that could take Anthony Richardson, a guy that has a ceiling, if you believe this, I do, a ceiling, a talent level to make him better than Stroud and Young, as opposed to a guaranteed higher floor in Stroud and Young, but not quite as guaranteed a higher ceiling. But again, all of that is dependent on, is anybody willing to move backwards?
They don't have to be willing because they're not going to do it. This sounds like, and I'm not going to throw up the conspiracy music because it's not. This is like sour grapes from the people, maybe someone in this room, who didn't think they should trade up to number one, and then later changed their mind and said they should change up to number one, and they did. They traded up to number one to get the quarterback of the future, which is C.J. Stroud. I forget which coach. There was a big article.
Bryce Young, you are going to have a meltdown.
I probably will. Which would I have more of a meltdown on? If they draft Richardson, I'd probably have more of a meltdown on. Bryce Young will be hidden by those huge linemen. No one will ever see him, and he still will be taller than Kyler Murray. It just sounds like people trying to find a reason why they wouldn't take CJ Stroud. And I forget which, I read an article and I forget which assistant coach it was, but there's an assistant coach on, and it might be the quarterback's coach on the Carolina Panthers, who's really big on CJ Stroud, talks about how impressed he was by him. And that again could be smokescreen because we're in smokescreen season. But I saw this article like a couple of days ago. All signs point to CJ Stroud. They don't point to them going up and did whatever those sources are. I think they're being paid by other teams to throw those things out there to make things interesting.
It's always a work.
It definitely is, except for the fact that Carolina went up to get CJ Stroud. That's not a work.
So the possibility, and let me again underline that, bold it, italicize it, put some asterisks around it. The possibility is there because what you've created now is a situation where the best two quarterbacks.
By the way, Josh McCown. It's Josh McCown who is
coach.
Praised CJ Stroud. So that's not real. What he really meant. What he really meant is Richardson. He didn't mean CJ Stroud. He's just throwing that out there to throw everybody off because you got to throw it. You don't throw anybody off. You're one now. You can do whatever you want.
Let me play your game.
It is time.
The Cats sitting at number one have created a world were Indianapolis sitting at 4, Seattle at 5, Vegas at 6, Detroit at 7, Atlanta at 8. All of whom, at the very least, are interested in a new quarterback. Some of them who must find the new quarterback. Understand that Carolina is taking a quarterback. They understand Houston is taking a quarterback. They know Indy is taking a quarterback. And that 5 spot they know is likely available for the taking of a quarterback. But they also know that Levis is the last guy there. So if you are Carolina sitting at 1, you recognize that you could trade back to 3 or 4 and likely still land Anthony Richardson. There is a nightmare scenario where that doesn't happen, which is where you trade back with Indy to 4 on trade day, on draft day. Arizona gets an offer from Detroit, Atlanta, or Vegas that they can't refuse to move to number 3. One of those teams jumps to 3, takes Anthony Richardson off the board, and now at Carolina's number 4 pick, you're stuck with Will Levis, which I don't think they want, right? But if Arizona gives you the indication that they have zero interest in moving out of 3, which I imagine they've done because I imagine Carolina gave them the call before Chicago. Hey, we're happy with any of the top 3 guys, Young, Stroud, or Richardson. We'll move to that spot if you're interested in jumping backwards. And Arizona said no. Speculation at the best. But if Arizona gives you zero indication that they are willing to move out of number 3, then going to number 4 allows you to grab some compensation for some of the picks that you gave to get from 9 to 1 and still land one of the quarterbacks you love and Anthony Richardson. So why would McCown say that? Allow me to attend the Lonzo's School of Conspiratorial Thinking. Because if they're going to do that, they've got to convince somebody that CJ Stroud is the real deal. McCown wants Indianapolis to truly believe, my tinfoil hat is on. I'm not saying this is fact. This is the tinfoil hat being on.
Is your tinfoil hat like the Pope's hat? Because you're reaching way above your head. Like,
yeah, because all of you guys do the 1 point.
Oh no! When we made them,
mine looks like Aykroyd and Coneheads, but if his head was made of tinfoil,
mine looked like the Batman cowl. So I mean, I have video evidence when we made our tinfoil hats.
So if McCown is trying to get Indy to buy in on CJ Stroud and be less confident picking Richardson or Levis at number 4, these comments would make perfect sense. The only buyer that Carolina can have right now is Indianapolis. That's it. Nobody else can go there without Carolina losing the ability to get a quarterback.
So what you're saying is Frank Reich, who was fired by Indianapolis, would have to deal with the team that fired him. Because I'm sure he has a favorable opinion of dealing with that management team who decided to let him go.
When a relationship goes sour, there are times that you must suck it up. You must pack your pride away. You must put it into a little box and shove it into the closet. And you must say, despite my desire to be prideful here, the best outcome for me, the best outcome for my scenario comes if and only if I allow someone else to feel like they got over on me for a minute and get by. And then I'll be the winner in the long run. If the Carolina Panthers are better because Frank Reich deals with the Colts, then yes, I expect him to call Jim Irsay and go, hey, buddy, water under the bridge. Bygones are bygones. It's a tough business, I know, but.
You really believe that's going to happen? Irsay seems like that kind of guy that you go, you know what? Dude, you're still my guy.
Irsay seems like the dude who wants to be liked, right? There's a clip from The Office where Michael Scott gets asked the question, Would you rather be feared or loved? And he said, both. I want you to be scared of how much you love me. That's Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay, oh my God, I just hit it. Jim Irsay is the NFL's Michael Scott. That's who he is. He means well. He's a blundering clown sometimes, but he means well, right? It's like the opposite of the NFL's Ted Packer, Roger Goodell. You got to be deep office references to follow along with this show sometimes. So, I'm not saying that the conclusion of all of this is that Carolina trades back from number 1 to pick some more stuff up. I'm saying if the Carolina Panthers are as enamored with Anthony Richardson as they are rumored to be, then dropping from 1 to 4, unless Arizona is willing to move, but I don't see any reason that Arizona would move up. If Arizona is willing to move up, sure, but they're not going to be. So instead, the best you can do is 4. If you are that interested in Anthony Richardson with a bridge quarterback mentor for a year, then you can drop back to 4, get back some of what you gave up to go from 9 to 1, and still land your guy. If you draft at 1, what are you going to do if they draft at 1 and they take Anthony Richardson first overall? Lonzo's head will pop off his neck.
It will be a dark day in all of the Carolinas because they will have passed again on a quarterback, just like they did with the one in Chicago that a lot of people wanted to get. They will have passed on possibly 2 quarterbacks that could do pretty well to go after the project. That's not what you do. You don't trade up to 1 to go, we're going to develop this guy. No, you trade up to 1 to pick a guy who's going to start week 1.
We're going to find out. All I'm saying is there's 3 options here. You draft Stroud, you draft Young, or you trade back to 4 and you draft Richardson and you get some of your capital back for the move. Which one am I looking for?
How many more picks do the Panthers have this year?
After they gave away,
they didn't give it away.
Moore,
they didn't give it away. They
traded away DJ Moore, which we'll come to that here in a minute. The number 9 overall, a 2023 second rounder.
Okay.
A first round pick in 24 and a second round. And by the way,
so you lost 2 picks out of what? 8 picks
really
this year?
Lose a pick. You just flipped in the first round.
Right.
You really only lost a second round pick.
Yeah.
Let me be abundantly clear. With the exception of DJ Moore, this is a great trade.
And all everyone's talking about is what a good deal it is for Chicago, which it is.
It's a great deal for Chicago.
Good for them.
They are still inside the top 10. And now they have DJ Moore, which is worth the number 1 pick. That's a young Pro Bowl wide receiver. DJ Moore is the equivalent of a first round pick.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to play with a good quarterback. So, I mean, he may drop off.
I mean,
when
he just upgraded in quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He doesn't know how to play with excellence. So we'll see what happens when he plays with excellence.
I don't know that I'm quite ready to declare Justin Fields excellent.
I am.
So the Bears effectively got a first round pick in the form of DJ Moore, a 2023 second rounder, next year's first rounder, and a second rounder in 2025. It's not an awful trade for Carolina. I don't love giving away the best wide receiver, arguably in the NFC South.
Which was a better loss, a better trade? Getting rid of Christian McCaffrey or getting rid of DJ Moore? Which one hurts more?
McCaffrey. But I also think contextually, both of them were good decisions, right? Now, again, I don't love bringing in Stroud or Young and not having a verified number 1 for him to line up with, right? I don't love him showing up and Laviska Shenault is the best receiver on the roster.
I saw a thing where the Panthers end up getting a Ohio State receiver, a pretty good one.
Njigba?
Yes. I saw a thing where that could happen.
I don't know how you do that without your second round pick. Unless they just they could always trade up and make another move and kind of get back into that second round. But I also suspect that the run of quarterbacks possibly could lead to a group of wide receivers coming off
You
to
don't
be
think-
matched up early.
I think defensive guys go after this.
I think the front end of the draft is going to be very defense heavy. I think the first 16 to 20 picks is going to be a lot of defenders off the board. Then you're going to see a switch over to wide receiver. And I don't know who's going to be available, but we haven't really deep dived the draft yet. We'll come back to that because when we come back, we got to look at the back end of this trade. DJ Moore, one of the favored sons in the Carolinas, is now a Bear. Was that a move that was worth it? DJ Moore, effectively a first-round pick, surrendered alongside next year's first-round pick. Was that the move for the Cats? We'll talk about that. Texter said, I'm not even a Panthers fan, and I'm embarrassed for them. Texter said, how about the Panthers making possibly the worst trade-up move in NFL history? Maybe an over-exaggeration, but damn, that was absolutely terrible.
All right, really quick. You texters coming at me specifically. You're just doing this because you don't believe that.
No.
We all
they're
know
not.
what the worst trade in the NFL ever was, and that was Ricky Williams. And we know that. You're not topping that.
All right, we'll top this conversation off when we come back. Texter says, no matter what Carolina does, it's an absolute clown show and hilarious. I'm here for it. We got more texts coming in. We'll respond to those when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Same as with Mark Show. 20, 35, 54. And those float. And by the way, texters, if you are on stream, I get what you're doing. I don't blame you coming at me. I was right. You were wrong. And it's fine. Okay. By the way, everything is about me. This is my story. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always turn your phone off, which I did not do. Luckily that. Ooh. Boss weighing in. Now we're going to see what he does. Well, I'm curious. We'll let Rob answer that. I'm not gonna spoil it by saying it.
I think Carolina lost on that trade.
I think you're all wrong. By the way, Steven, that is a great Boo Box bet. If that comes back, we'll see if Rob's willing to do it. But it could go the way of mayonnaise. You know what I mean. Trey asked if I've already ordered my CJ Stroud jersey. Not yet. I'm saving money for Comic-Con. After that, though, we got time for that. You know what, Trey? Trey says, I wish you could have seen the joy emanating from me when that trade was announced. My wife got an alert and yelled at me from the other room while I was playing a game. And I was like, cool. You know why? Because I knew it was going to happen. You know why? Because it was the right move. And people thinking that they lost in the trade, we'll see. Because the draft is a lottery. It's an educated guess. Sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. By the way, read your text on your phone.
Carolina Panthers currently have, let me make sure. Round 2, Carolina currently has a pick at number 39. Okay, yep, so they could get him there if he goes that far.
They could also make some more moves. I mean, to move up. Here's what I trust in. I trust in the Carolina Panthers' ability to do well in the draft because they've done that. Now, if you wanted Justin Fields, I get it. But who they got, pretty good when he's healthy. One of the best corners in all of football when he's healthy.
everything you've earned double. Seriously, though. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Sponsored by Taco Bell. The double steak grilled cheese burrito is now
I don't know. And Jigma may have that. He's hurt a lot, which he wasn't. He was like hurt last season, but that could cause him to drop.
Coming up on a Monday episode of Offside with Mark Ryan and Diesel, the news that Carolina has traded for the #1 overall pick. Diesel and I are beside ourselves. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh, so just shut up, man. All you guys shut up. You guys are ridiculous. It was a great move. I'm the only one right on this entire station. You guys will be singing the praises of CJ Stroud halfway through the season. And I will gloat.
So for the record, Carolina does still have a second-round pick. They have the pick they acquired during the McCaffrey trade. That is pick number 39 overall.
Hey, Rob, who pointed that out?
The big boss.
I just want to say it's good that he's listening, and I'm sure he's on my side because
Carolina has pick number 39 overall in round number 2. That is compensation for the trade that sent Christian McCaffrey over to San Francisco. They also have a third-round pick at number 93 overall. Those will be the next 2 picks for the Carolina Panthers. Now, there will be a wide receiver there. Is it one of the top tier wide receivers? I don't know. As I mentioned in the last round, the last 2-round mock that I did, I had most of the guys considered first or early second round receivers coming off in a run. There is quite a need for depth. Now, I will also throw this out there. And I think that this is something that needs to be considered. There is a host of free agent wide receivers that are going to be available. We learned that Adam Thielen is now a free agent. Minnesota made him a cap casualty earlier in the draft. We know that. Oh, who's the other one? I had like 3 and I left them sitting on my office desk. But the point is, there's a handful of Juju Smith-Schuster is likely there. DeAndre Hopkins is on the trade market at this point. So I think there's the potential for, I think the last time I did it, I had 5 wide receivers come off the board in the first round. But there is the potential for this to be a white-hot wide receiver free agency market. So if the Cats decide to go that direction, there's going to be names available if you got the cash to spare.
Something else near the end of the season for the Panthers, and yes, it was turmoil and you didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. DJ dropped off and other guys on the team stepped up. So is there a possibility that maybe Terrace Marshall could be a #1?
Not yet.
I said possibility.
Possibility, yes. Am I banking on TMJ becoming that guy?
With
No.
the right quarterback, he has the opportunity to step up. And maybe they think that he is good enough that they can let DJ Moore go and then get a good #2 later on in the draft.
The problem you have with TMJ is that he's not a down the field speed receiver. He's a red zone big tall guy. He's a guy you toss it up to and he's Mike Thomas. He's a slant god, right? You're gonna get 6 to 7 yard receptions and a big red zone weapon. You've still got to have somebody stretch the field. Now we saw Laviska Shenault, the former Jag, a couple of times. Week 3 against the Saints, he smoked them for like a 67-yard TD that effectively changed that game and put the momentum into Carolina's court. He's got that down the field capability, but he's not the most trustworthy guy with the ball sometimes. So overall, there is still the need for Carolina to end up with a #1 wide receiver. The point that I'm making here is that if he's not there, if that guy is not there for Carolina, sitting at number 39 overall in the second round, the free agency market is going to be loaded with top-tier guys. The question mark is, do you grab one before the draft? Free agency starts in 2 days, and I would say that decision needs to be made before Wednesday morning.
All right, I just looked up Pro Football Focus's projections as far as receivers go, and they have Jackson Smith and Jigba going early day 2. So if he's available early day 2, maybe with a little bit of help, the Panthers can move up and get him. If that's the guy they want. And they have him ranked 5th out of the receivers available. I mean, if 4 other guys go ahead of him, how many teams are going to pick one of these guys, the receivers, in the first round?
Like I said, I think the last one I did, I had 5 off the board in the first round, and he was one of them. I think at the very end, I want to say he was like 31st or 32nd off the board, but I don't have him making it that far.
Classically, there's a guy who drops in the draft and drops into the second round that shouldn't be there, and maybe he's that guy.
See, I with the focus on quarterbacks and the focus on wide receivers to accompany them, I think you're going to see a wide receiver run. You're going to see the quarterbacks come off the board early. You're going to have, listen, all 4 of the top 4 quarterbacks are going to be off the board by pick number 5. All of them. Levis, Richardson, Young, Stroud, they're all gone by 5. Then you've got to start having, all right, if you got a Matt Ryan, a Jared Goff, a Matt Stafford, right? Like a quarterback that is absolutely capable of getting it there if you've got the cast around them, then the next group of guys you need are O-linemen, which we saw last year, a big O-line run, O-linemen, and wide receivers. So I've got a run of wide
I would
receivers.
throw in some edge rushers in there too.
Yeah, and again, that's why Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are both coming off the board. Both of those guys will be gone by 6, right? Your top 4, I can go ahead and tell you right now what the top 4 picks are. Stroud, Young, Anderson, Levis, Richardson, and Carter. Those are your top 6 picks. The order might be jumbled up a bit. We might see 1, maybe at most 2 more draft moves that impact the top 6 picks. But I'm calling the shot. Your top 6 picks are going to see all 4 QBs, Anderson and Carter, off the board. 4 quarterbacks, 2 defensive edge rushers / interior linemen that are just monsters. Because that's the direction you're going in. Let's see here. Texas said the Panthers trade is almost like an Impractical Joker skit. Hey, David, trade away 4 picks and your best wide receiver to move up 8 picks for an unknown quarterback.
First of all, Texter, I'm sorry you had a bad weekend. Second of all, I don't believe you. I think you're a troll. And if I'm wrong, what team do you pull for? Because it's not the Panthers. Because that's just it's an unrealistic text. You are a doomsayer. You are a person who knows no joy in your life if you think this was a bad trade.
Let's go with this. CJ Stroud put it together at Ohio State. Real good year. Real good year. Very close to knocking off Georgia in the semifinal.
Very close. A bad kick away. I mean, come on. The worst kick in human history. It was a bad kick.
Bad. But the counter to that argument, because I think it's only fair in these types of discussions to genuinely approach the conversation from both sides of the argument here, is that he's also, much like Justin Fields, been surrounded with superior talent, right? And at that position, but really anywhere, anything you do ever, if you are surrounded by superior talent, you are by default going to look better than other guys of similar skill sets.
But can't you say that about anybody who comes out of Alabama?
I can say that about anybody who does any job anywhere ever, right? If Rob Brown,
I don't know. I wish you guys would do better around here to make me look better, because it's not happening today.
see, that's the problem with being a great offensive lineman, Lonzo. You make guys like me look better, and you never get the press for it, right? Except when I say thanks, because I am as humble as I am good looking.
I really appreciate you, Rob. Thank you.
If you put Rob with any old producer, the show's going to be good. You stick him with Lonzo, they're going to win South Carolina Broadcaster Association Sports Talk Radio Program of the Year awards. We the ones. All right? So, yes, the argument that C.J. Stroud is very good, but he's also been surrounded with redonk levels of talent is an argument of, can he do it at the next level without a guy like a DJ Moore there as a clear number one wide receiver?
All right, there's a thing, and I get the text line. I think if C.J. Stroud came from any other school than Ohio State, they wouldn't be having this problem. I'm guessing the text line just kind of roots for a certain school up the road, and that's fine. We live in that area, so I get it. And there's a part of me that wants this to be successful because Ohio State quarterbacks historically have not done that well in the NFL. And there's an opportunity now for a couple of them to start to excel. Receivers do well, defensive guys do well out of Ohio State. Offensive linemen are everywhere, but quarterbacks have classically struggled. And here's the opportunity for a couple guys to start doing well.
I will go with, I don't draft on narratives, okay? Because
Hey,
every
man,
guy's a
hey,
different
man.
guy.
Hey, I don't draft on narratives.
I don't draft on narratives. As Ted Lasso said, all people are different people, okay? Because a guy comes from X and X has a reputation of Y doesn't mean that guy
Yeah, but
X is going to have
X is going to do
Y.
it for you, though. So, I mean, you know.
So, that being said, the DMX threw me off for a second. That being said, I'm not going to not take CJ Stroud because he's a Buckeye and Buckeye quarterbacks have historically not panned out, though that is a true statement. I'm not going to not draft him because of that. What I am going to say is there might be some people who do. This is not anti-Buckeye sentiment. This is just guys that come out of that program at that position historically have not panned out, right? So I don't know if Carolina jumped because they see C.J. Stroud as an upgraded Justin Fields, because they see Bryce Young and go, we don't care if he's short, so is Drew Brees. He's got numbers. Or if, like I said, they're just so high on Anthony Richardson, and number one was the only pick inside the top four that was available. Indy's not going backwards. Houston's not going backwards. The only team that theoretically might be is Arizona, but there has not even been a smokescreen discussion that they would be willing to do so. So the only pick available was number one. Now, might that change on draft day? Might the Indianapolis Colts go, okay, we're screwed now, right? We know Houston is taking whoever is left between Young and Stroud at number two. And if we want to get one of the other guys, because we do not want to gamble on the development of Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, we got to get to one. And Carolina goes, sure thing, partners. But what you're going to do is you're going to send us your number one pick next year, or your number two pick this year and next year, or whatever it's going to be, because we've got to go find a wide receiver now, right? I don't know. The most like the Occam's razor solution here is that Carolina takes Younger Stroud. That's the solution that makes the most sense and utilizes the fewest assumptions.
I just looked it up because I was curious. The internet says that Kyler Murray is 5'10". So Bryce Young is a quarter inch, I think, taller than that. And if you look at how small Kyler Murray looks and how hurt he is all the time, I know Bryce Young is a different kind of quarterback. I think that's more of a risk.
Bryce Young is, and I say this intending no disrespect to Kyler Murray, but he seems to be a much less ego-driven guy, and he seems to be a much more cerebral quarterback.
If you were that good at Call of Duty, you'd be cocky too.
Yes, true. I suck at Call of Duty. As Joey B can attest on the stream, I am a mound of hot garbage at that game. The only reason my friends still invite me is because I'm funny. That's it. It's the only reason to keep me around.
You got that going for you.
I will make you laugh when I get smoke every time. So the rightful move here is to take Stroud or Young. I'll let you decide which one you want. Lonzo's all in rolling with CJ Stroud. I am simply saying, do not be wildly shocked and surprised if the Cats move back from 1 to 4 with Indy in order to take Anthony Richardson and get something back for the move they made to get to where Chicago is. Chicago was going to get more, and Chicago needed a number 1 wide receiver. Indianapolis did not have one available. Carolina did. Why would Chicago move from 1 to 9 instead of 1 to 4? If they both had offers on the table, the answer is Carolina had to put up a number 1 wide receiver, and DJ Moore was the only one available. So now they get a number 1 wide receiver, the equivalent of a first-round draft pick, and they're still inside the top 10, knowing that 4 of the top 10 are going to be quarterbacks.
All right, real quick, because we do need to go to break. The Cleveland Browns have restructured their quarterback's contract to free up some room.
Kind of had to.
Yeah, I don't think that's breaking news.
Yeah,
but
not at all.
So,
and it won't be the last time it happens either.
You think maybe how he played last year may have something to do with it? I don't know.
Let's see. Joey B says Panthers can't trade out of number 1. They have no leverage in the trade and will give back far less than they gave up to move up. Any move back now would make them look really incompetent. I don't know if I fully agree with that, Joey B, right? If you still end up with Anthony Richardson as a project quarterback and a vet QB to mentor him for a season, and Indy is desperate to get Stroud or Young, you could still end up. It's a two-fold move.
I'm laughing at his other comment, but every party needs a bard for the vibes.
He described my Call of Duty game as, quote, the polite word is liability, but every party needs a bard for the vibes. Yeah, that's me. That's literally my job. Inspiration for everybody. Back after this to wrap up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
By inspiration, he means, well, at least I'm not as bad as Rob.
You guys don't have a bard in your party.
I'm not sure what Chris is. Someone commented earlier about me trying to make the little girl do the dishes.
That was pretty messed up.
You know why the little girl wasn't offended? Because it's not a little girl. That's why.
Ray Dio will make its triumphant return likely the 2nd or 3rd weekend of April.
We can hold it all together, yeah. So Brandon, there is no you don't need to get up. There is no CBS Sports in the first hour. So it's only in the 10 o'clock hour and the 11 o'clock hour. So just throw in a 60-second promo to cover for that in that last break. Unless we go late and then you don't have to.
I got to the point where I really couldn't walk. I had
Mike Wazowski.
I was really just laying in bed. It was terrible. I wouldn't go back under the knife.
She missed working and traveling, but all that was about to change. QC Kinetics used natural biologics to treat pollen. No foreign substances. They provided regenerative treatments that helped subside the...
This is a win-win situation for me because if they go with Stroud and he does well, I look really good.
What if they go with Stroud and he sucks?
Even if he sucks or if they don't go with him, everyone who thinks a certain way about me just continues to think that way about me. So, I mean, then the 3 experts on the station just prove that they're better than me. Not going to happen. CJ Stroud's going to rock. You'll see. No, Steven got you, man. Steven says, Joey, if Rob becomes too much of a liability, my wife could take his place.
She's probably better than me.
Remember, he was dropping that knowledge on Saturday about how good she is. So and I asked Chris's character to do the dishes and stuff just to get the eye roll, which I got, even though he wasn't in the room. I did get on Cameron. I was like, dude, I thought we was a team. He was like, what do you mean? So you climbed up on the building. I was like, what kind of move was that? You climbed up on the building. You left everybody else down. Well, I needed more. Well, you didn't tell anybody you're going to climb up on the building. You just climbed up on the building. You left me down here by myself. You know how dangerous that is.
We had our first "don't split the party" comment, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. I'm whoever that guy is in the first Scream. You guys are not following the rules. Can't remember, did that dude die? The first Scream was so long. You didn't watch it probably. So it was so long ago.
Learn more at Prevnar20.com. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar.
I'll have to go home and watch some Panther Nation podcasts and see what Rashad thought about it. I've seen some of his comments.
The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar.
All right, Fox Sports. Tom Brady is gone. Let it go. Just let it go. Here's what Tom Brady was doing at age 35. You know what? Who cares? He's like almost 50 now. Let it go.
Did y'all see that horrible strike?
Yeah,
That was the
Yeah.
most horrible call I have ever seen.
yeah, that was rough.
They got the umpire got suspended for the entire season.
Rightfully so. I don't know how you blow it that badly.
Yeah, he wanted to go home. You can tell.
Work and play kind of melt together for us.
They run a brewery, harvest their own hops, and keep things tidy for their
Did you see Alonzo?
People say, "What are you? Are you
Sounds like baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so no.
I also stayed up till freaking 1:30 this morning watching us get smoked in the World Baseball Classic last night.
By the way, I'm proud of you. You haven't complained about the time change once. And we've been on the air 50 minutes. Way to go.
A lot of time left, though.
There is. But would you have mentioned it if I hadn't said something?
Yeah. Let's talk about the time change, shall we? I don't know, man.
I didn't notice. I mean,
Yeah.
I just didn't notice.
Nothing changed for Lonzo. He gets home, locks himself in the bat cave where sunlight is the enemy, and never.
You're pretty accurate on that, by the way.
That wasn't a joke.
I got the blue LEDs going. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I don't know about what time you got to bed Saturday night, but thanks to time change, it was 3 a.m.
I'll tell you what time I got.
It's the
to
first
bed.
time I've been up at 3 a.m. since the first time we played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, so we played a little Ray D&Dio on Saturday night.
Still not saying it.
I got back to the house. I got home, took a shower, got the PJs on, hit the bed. The lady friend wakes up. She's like, 2:45, kind of late, huh? Look, it's not 2:45. It's 1 for. Oh, damn. Whoops. Forgot about that. Listen, I don't need to go ham on complaining about the time change because you all agree with me. All right. The way the clock is right now, let's just leave it that way forever. All right. It's good. It's fine. Just leave it the way it is now. We don't need to be jolting the clock back and forth twice a year.
I just, I think I have the bro approach, bro. Things are how they are.
Time's not real, dude.
Right. Neither are
It's
birds.
just how we perceive the universe, bro. We're the universe experiencing itself, dude. It's just like, think about it, bro.
Everything you just said is very accurate.
Yeah, man. You know how like yesterday it was like 1 o'clock, dude? Did you know that today, like, totally also has a 1 o'clock, bro?
Bro.
Whoa. Far out, man.
Do stoners still say far out?
I don't know, dude.
Okay. I mean, because, you know,
I mean, I still say far out, bro. Righteous.
I don't think you've ever truly said far out ever in your entire life as an exclamation.
Far out, bro. I will now. I start today. Today's a new day. Yes, it is.
But see, you can't do
Bro.
it. Your hair's too short.
That's just like your judgment call, dude.
It is
And,
my
like,
judgment call. You cannot bro out
respect it,
without
dude.
some locks.
Like, I respect you, bro, but like, that's messed up,
How come you say like totally Kyle?
dude.
Do you get the reference?
I don't, dude.
Okay, it's a Nickelodeon thing. Amanda Bynes, The Amanda Show. That's what it was.
I don't know, dude.
Some of our demographic will get it.
Must have missed that one, bro. All right, my righteous dudes and dudettes.
Righteous.
Gotta take a break, dude.
You hear that? That was my skull.
When we come back, dude, there's like college basketball, dude. It's like a bracket, which is like when some teams like totally play some other teams, and then the teams that win play some other teams that win. It's pretty gnarly, dude. All right, bro. All right, we're back after this. That's dumb. I'm gonna stop on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Sound like Rob like 25 years ago, probably. Do Florida beach people sound like California beach people? Why not? Is it because Florida beach people are just people who moved from the north and their children?
Correct.
Okay.
No,
all right.
there are people who've been there a long time. You got to, all right. So, for the record, when you look at the Florida Panhandle, there's 3 beach territories. Yeah, the Florida Panhandle, where I'm from, which we affectionately and accurately refer to as Lower Alabama. Right? If you draw a line down Alabama's eastern state border, it goes down to the Gulf, and that chunk of the Panhandle is just Lower Alabama. Then from the end of Lower Alabama down to south of Tampa, you have what you would consider like truly Florida Beach. That is predominantly made up of retirees, misplaced Yankees, et cetera, et cetera.
My people.
And then when you get about 3/4 of the way down, wrapping around southern Florida, that's Miami Beach. That's where all the hot people live.
You
and
mean
then you
because of the
circle-
climate or we,
No, like there's like it's just full of attractive people.
Oh, okay.
And then you circle around the backside, and Miami Beach goes about halfway up. Then you have the Tampa Beach again on the other side, Central Florida Beach again on the other side. And then you get that much of the map at the top, and that's Jacksonville Beach, and that's where your hopes and dreams go to die. That's the last region of Florida beaches.
Including Amelia Island.
Yes. Everything around that area is hot garbage. Hot garbage is Jacksonville.
I still haven't been to Florida, so that's valuable information.
I like St. Pete. I like St. Pete. I like Tampa. I like Clearwater. I just hate Jacksonville.
Steven, is because, when you're a surfer, dude, sometimes you spend time in other waves, finding other breaks.
Dude,
And so
listen,
maybe spend some time in Australia.
bro, listen. I'm like cultured, dude. The answer, Steven, is because my current inspiration for a surfer, dude, is Totally Crush the Turtle, dude.
I don't know who that is.
Riding the EAC, bro. Yeah, you do. You've seen Finding Nemo.
The
turtle, the
It's
whole
a little.
The turtle is the bomb.
I saw a little bit of it. Didn't interest me that much. But remember, I'm older, and my kids were older when that came out too, I think. So I'm going grandpa on this one.
Bruh. Riding the EAC, dude.
All right. Obviously, I'm trying to time it to the top of the hour because math is so fun. And it should time out fairly well. Has anyone told you about when the weather thing flashes?
No.
Okay, when the weather thing flashes, it will send out warnings or watches. In this case, it's a freeze watch. We're not putting a freeze watch into our stack. If it would be a tornado warning, there was a button on there that says insert in stack. So you would click this, and then you would click over in the stack, and it would put it over there. So like tornado warning, tornado watch, severe thunderstorms, air raids, alien invasions, things like that.
Same great show, new time.
Oh, Kenny Mayne.
Only on the Fan Upstate. Now CBS Sports Radio.
On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone, download the Odyssey app, and search the Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com. Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. CBS Sports Radio. Live from the free Odyssey.
Hey, check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represent freedom wave.
Yeah. The unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah. Raw. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Rob and the great one, Lonzo, with you on a Monday morning. Appreciate you stopping by, being a part of the radio broadcast. Hope you had a spectacular weekend. But it's back to the grind, kids. Let's get to it. A lot of stuff to get into. A couple of thoughts real quick. And then we'll get away from this trade talk that we did for the first hour of the show. Texter says, and by the way, you can text the show at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. Texter says, Rob Alonzo, I'm a Chicago transplant and a lifelong Bears fan. I've seen reports grading the trade as good for both teams. I've also seen reports wait for it as I go find the rest of it. There it is. I've also saw reports that the Bears are interested in the Ohio State wide receiver as well. Ron says, great show. I listen as I drive for work. Welcome to the Armada. Ron, thanks for checking in, buddy. Good to have you in the group. Lonzo, I think I would say it's successful today. There's only one thing that makes this trade successful for Carolina. It's hitting on a franchise quarterback.
Absolutely.
Anything else is a failure.
I mean, if you're trading in free agency, that's a known commodity. You know how good or how good a player could be because they've already played in the league. In this case, it's a lottery pick. It's a gamble. You're going on what they did in college and believing that it's gonna translate to the NFL. And we've seen a lot of busts where it doesn't. But you got to take that shot.
The only thing that makes this trade a success or a failure for Carolina is, do you pick the right guy? Right? Do you pick the right guy? There are scouting reports that say that CJ Stroud is a 10-plus year franchise quarterback. There are scouting reports that say CJ Stroud's been carried. There are scouting reports that say Bryce Young is the second coming of Drew Brees. There are scouting reports that say that Bryce Young will absolutely collapse, fold, and evaporate the first time he gets NFL-level contact. There are scouting reports that say Anthony Richardson is going to develop into a bigger, stronger, faster Lamar Jackson. There are scouting reports that say Anthony Richardson might not make it out of training camp. There are scouting reports that says Will Levis can be better than Ben Roethlisberger was in his prime. There are scouting reports that say Will Levis is going to break an ankle walking into the facility and never get a shot. I solely and only can say, I hope that Frank Reich, Scott Fitterer, David Tepper, and the rest of the crew making this decision do all of their homework and some more. Because you have just sacrificed DJ Moore at the altar of a franchise quarterback. You would better make damn sure that the one that you place there is that right guy. Because if you blow this, Lonzo, it will be 6 or 7 years before you can run another shot.
All right. So if you blow this, you might end up 7-9. Wow. Wow. It could get worse. No, it could get worse. It absolutely could. I believe it was George Seifert who didn't win a game. Possibly. Maybe I could be wrong. Because that was a long time ago. But it could be worse. But you know what? Not much worse. So if you take this gamble and you fail, what have you really lost other than DJ Moore?
A first-round pick,
and a lot of teams are going to take this gamble or take a gamble in the draft, and it's not going to pay off.
Sure. Listen,
I mean, that's just how it works. And I trust in how the Panthers have drafted. I think they've done a pretty good job. And if they go up and take the quarterback I don't want, I'm going to be upset about it. But in the end, it might work out for them. The last time they drafted a quarterback pretty high, worked out really good for them.
Yep. And also, it wasn't Frank Reich, right? Listen, I'm not saying that I am predicting doom and gloom out of this.
Could be Panthers versus the Bears in the NFC Championship game.
That'd be great.
Could be. And then that would be proof that it was the best trade ever.
It comes down to, can the Cats pick the right guy? If the answer is yes, and they pick the right guy, they're going to be in a good spot. Franchise quarterbacks make or break you. If they get one here, this trade's a success. If they don't, they traded away probably the second most beloved Panther in the past half a decade for what?
I don't know if he's that high. Probably top 5.
Here's of the last half decade.
Here's the thing. So whatever quarterback you bring in, you say, here's the best quarterback in the NFC South. Derek David, John Carr.
Derek Carr.
Yes, this is the best quarterback in the NFC South. All you got to do is be better than him. Not that hard to do. You've got a pretty good defense. You've got a very good offensive line. You've got a good running game. Go out there and win some games. You should be able to win the NFC South with a rookie quarterback.
First off, listen, I was touting Derek Carr.
Come and get your used cars right here in New Orleans.
I was New Orleans. Ugh. I was touting Derek Carr before he was a Saint, so this is not like, oh, Rob summering it up. I was calling for him to be in Charlotte before he ended up in New Orleans.
There was a look of disappointment on your face when he went to New Orleans and didn't go to Carolina. because he came to your team, which means I took it as you not being the utmost confident in his abilities. And for your sake, because I like to see you happy, believe it or not, I hope he does pretty well. Not as good as the Panthers, but I hope he does pretty well. There are wild cards. You get one of those.
So, we'll talk about the NFC South as a whole later. All I'm saying is Carolina paid a lot to give themselves an opportunity. Don't blow it. That's it. That's the whole take. Don't blow it. All right. Let's get sorry. I don't know what they're talking about over there, but our sister station just received a text that said your station can shove that story right up their bleep.
Passion, man. You got to appreciate the passion.
That's a pretty spectacular text.
Of the texters. Yes.
That's a pretty spectacular text, if we're being honest. All right.
Maybe we should go ask Tara to come in here and talk about it.
I just want to know what they're talking about. Let's go to some audio here, if you don't mind. Great one. We are going to go to clip.
All right, you're going to have to give me a second.
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
remember the computer problems I was
that's
having,
right.
so I didn't get a chance to
All
check.
right, well, when you get there, let me know. But, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was Selection Sunday. Our brackets are now out and available for your perusal. The brackets are available. We know what they are. We know who's playing where, when, and against whom. And we do know that Clemson will be playing in the NIT.
Unless they say, you know what? Have they accepted the invitation
Yes,
to the
they are
NIT?
the number
Okay.
one overall seed
All right,
in
so
the NIT.
They didn't go. Okay.
They did not go full North Carolina, who said, thanks, but no thanks.
Screw you, NIT.
Yeah.
We're going home.
We're better than that. Are you, though? Are you? I mean, are you, though? Anyway, North Carolina says, no, we good. We're out. In the March Madness bracket, we now know the destinations. We now know who's playing whom, when, and where. And we know that Clemson did not make it. But that, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the surprising part. The surprising part is that while the Clemson Tigers did not make the bracket, do you know who did? As an 11 seed in the South region, lining up against Creighton in game number 1, the NC State Wolfpack. But wait, Rob, didn't Clemson beat NC State? Not once, not twice, but 3 times this year. To which I would say, hypothetical and completely made up listener that I created just for this conversation, you are correct. Yes, they did. And not only did they beat NC State 3 times, but they beat NC State 3 times, 2 of them by better than 20 points. The last one by better than a dozen. They beat the holy terror out of NC State, 3-0 against them, but the Pack are dancing and Clemson is not. And I was not the only one who picked up on that. Here is living legend Dick Vitale answering his biggest disappointment of the committee.
Gotta have the proper musical accompaniment for whining. I mean,
Set
you know.
the mood.
At least your boy's consistent, you know. Brownell does it every time.
Halfway through the clip, I'm like, I don't remember being Oh. Dickie V says the biggest disappointment of the bracket is that the Tigers aren't in it. The biggest disappointment in the bracket is that NC State is somehow dancing when Clemson, a team that beat them 3 times, is not.
That is weird, isn't it? That's a bad look for the selection committee to do that. But I think it really comes down to something that we already know. It's because Clemson lost to South Carolina, and South Carolina kept them out of the tournament. We know that without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. So go Gamecocks.
Let me be abundantly clear about something. Clemson is not the only team that got screwed because of their bad L's. There's another team that did make it in, but they're about 4 seedings lower than they were expected to be, and that is Buzz Williams' Texas A&M Aggies. The Aggies are a 7 seed. Most of the bracketologists had them checking in anywhere from a 3, 4, or 5 seed. So why is Texas A&M a 7 seed when they have got wins over number 1 overall seed Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn, Missouri? They beat all them teams. So why are they a 7 seed when most people thought a 4 or 5 seed at the worst? The answer is because while they beat Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn, and Missouri, they also lost to Murray State, Colorado, and wait for it, Zoe, the Wofford Terriers. So
Wofford, who was not that good this year, right?
So Clemson fell to South Carolina, Boston College, Louisville. Who was the 4th one? There was one more. Chicago Loyola. Those are 4 bad L's. And I told you before Friday's ACC championship game, Clemson has to win too. Wait a minute, Rob. They blew the doors off the Wolfpack. Yes, they did. But as I have mentioned multiple times, when it comes to college basketball, a loss to a team like Louisville, who was a 3-win team at the time, effectively counts as 2 losses. Or it erases 2 good wins. It erases 2 great wins. That's how damaging a Q4 loss is. Texas A&M lost in the not preseason, but in the non-conference slate right out of the gate. Texas A&M lost to every team that they played that had a pulse. And a couple of teams that didn't, to be honest. And those losses to Murray State, Wofford, Colorado, etc., those losses outweighed wins over Alabama, Tennessee, and Arkansas. If those 3 losses don't happen, Texas A&M honestly might be a 3 seed because of the fact that the SEC was a good conference this year. They might be a 3 seed. But the committee looked at those 3 losses, including the one to the Terriers, and went, nope, you gotta eat some L's for that. And they got bumped down to a 7. Now, it actually is kind of interesting because we get out of the gate Penn State versus Texas A&M. That game's going to be awesome. Oh, and by the way, if Texas A&M beats Penn State in the opening round, guess who they're going to catch in round 2? Texas. Hell yeah, let's go. Fire it up. These are 2 great games that Texas A&M is being punished with. They're being punished with them because of those 3 losses. Statistically speaking, and this is a measure, not the measure. Statistically speaking, with the exception of head-to-head competition, NC State was statistically a better team than Clemson. Statistically. But there ain't but one statistic that matters. That's the scoreboard when the two 20-minute halves see a bell rung at the end. Clemson 3-0 against the Wolfpack. But I'll tell you what the Wolfpack did not have. They did not have losses to Louisville. They did not have losses to Loyola Chicago, losses to South Carolina. And even though they were early in the season, as I mentioned, Virginia Tech was the same way. All of those losses were in the non-conference slate out the gate. Doesn't matter. You still pay for them. Here are NC State's losses. Number 3, Kansas. Tournament team, Pitt. Top 5 seed, Miami. At Clemson, the number 1 seed overall in the NIT. At North Carolina. At Virginia. At Syracuse, which is probably the worst loss on there. Back home against Clemson. That was a blowout L. At Duke by 4. Tournament team. And Clemson in the ACC title game. So while 3 of the losses came to Clemson, the punishment for NC State is that they dropped to an 11 seed. They're getting Creighton out of the gate. If they win that, guess who they get in round 2? Baylor, a Final Four potential. If they get by Baylor, they're catching either Arizona or maybe a very good Missouri team out of the bottom half of that bracket. Utah State's dangerous. They're down there as well. NC State is getting punished for Clemson smoking them 3 times. But those losses that you took earlier in the year, and by the way, this isn't Rob reacting to the bracket. This isn't Rob coming in here hot on a Monday and going, oh, the committee. I told you last Friday, beat Virginia or you're going to the NIT. Right? I didn't hold back on that. And I saw a lot of you guys. I saw a lot of you guys hit me on social, texting the show. No, Rob. No. We're a 3 seed in the ACC tournament. We're a 3 seed in a conference that's likely sending 5 teams to the dance. We're in. No, you're not. All right, Rob, we beat the hell out of NC State in the ACC quarterfinals. Now we're in. No, you're not. Because NC State is a tournament caliber team and is a very good team. If you wanted to erase the Loyola Chicago L, you got to have a Kansas caliber win. If you want to erase the South Carolina L, you got to have a win over a team like a Houston. If you want to erase the Loyola Chicago L, you got to have a win over a team like Alabama, a Baylor. You got to have one of those wins. And unfortunately for Clemson, the ACC just didn't provide you with that caliber win. You have a 5 seed in Duke that is in. North Carolina missed the entire dance. NC State's an 11 seed. The best you would have got is Virginia. And by the way, Virginia, the best team in the ACC, is a 4 seed. Not a 1, not a 2, not a 3, a 4 seed. The ACC, unfortunately for the Tigers, did not provide them with a Duke under Mike Krzyzewski, classic North Carolina under Roy Williams. They didn't give you a 1 or a 2 seed team in the conference like the ACC is used to having. That Clemson could have went out there and gone 2-0 against Duke and Carolina, who are both top 5 teams in the country, and said, all right, we're going to wipe that South Carolina loss off the books. Nay, friends. You got screwed by having the best team in the ACC only good enough to be a 4 seed. So you didn't have that out. And it smoked you. That's all it came down to. If you had a classic Duke or Carolina game that you won, you're in. You wipe one of those L's off the board and you're in. Instead, you're going to the NIT. Granted, number 1 overall seed in the NIT, right? Number 1 overall seed in the NIT. But you ain't taking the cheerleader to prom, man. You're just not. I saw a lot of outrage from Clemson fans. How is NC State in, but we're not? Answer. NC State dropped 3 to you. But their other L's were to Kansas. Kansas is going in as a Final Four favorite. Duke, a 5 seed. Yeah, they lost one to Carolina, but is losing to North Carolina the same as losing to South Carolina? No. All due respect, Gamecocks, you ain't the Heels, right? That was a bubble team in North Carolina. South Carolina was nowhere close to that. So, all that being said, Clemson had opportunities. A win over Virginia in the ACC semifinal would have 100% got you in. We'd had a different conversation. But instead, Joey B and I were texting during that game. You had moments where Clemson was watching wide open shooters on the wing, and the passes were ending up in row E, seat 7. You had a spot where Clemson was playing with the panic of a team down 15 when they were down 4. At one point in the second half in the ACC semifinal, Clemson had a steal and a 3 that could have brought the lead to within 1 with 3 minutes left to play. They were within a point with a made 3. Virginia took a 13-point lead to halftime in 3 minutes. You panicked, you freaked out, and that's been the hallmark of a Brad Brownell team, and that's why you're in the NIT and not the NCAA tournament. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Any questions?
For the CBS Sports GXP5 again.
I think so. I'll let you know for sure here in like 25 minutes when I do it.
For tonight, approaching that freezing mark, clear skies, low at 33. Tuesday.
Special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public.
Mind if I use the restroom real quick?
Out-of-pocket expenses on future auto
Has
repairs.
to go to the
Almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correct.
Plus, you'd have to ask Rob.
Covered auto
Am I
repairs.
wrong?
No, 10-minute.
All drivers to call for
Yes,
repairs.
go.
Call 800-932-8603 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-932-8603. That's 800-932-8603. What do you have to lose? Call 800-932-8603. Again, 800-932-8603.
Sponsored by Discover. Discover credit cards do something pretty awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically
Dan Severn, 10 a.m. Wednesday on stream.
everything you earn double. The cashback from trips, restaurants, all double. Seriously though, see terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
Coming up with a Monday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel. The news that Carolina has traded for the number 1 overall pick. Diesel and I are beside ourselves. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Chris Phillips will be joining us with a recruiting update. Clemson in or out of the tournament and Furman strong.
Number 1 for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the
Next state.
Big in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you. 844-326-3663. That's the number to get on the air. Clemson gets ejected from the tournament. And it should not. It's not a surprise to anybody who listens to this show. Or at least it shouldn't be. I know some of you disagree with me, but I have prepared you for this for the last 3 weeks. Those L's are rough. And on top of that, the handful of wins that you have, and Clemson had, we brought this up last week, some really good marks. More Q1 wins than they've had in, I can't remember how many years, but a number of them. But the L's offset that. A Q4 L takes out effectively 2 Q1 wins. That's how bad you get punished for that. That is why, as I mentioned, Texas A&M sank to a 7 seed when realistically their qualifications look like that of a 4 seed at the worst. But they got bumped down and punished with Penn State and Texas out of the gate because of an L2 Wofford. All due respect to the Terriers. So the bracket is set. Alabama gets the number 1 overall seed. They will host the Southern region. They will open with the winner of Southeastern Missouri versus Texas A&M Community College. Out of that same bracket, you are going to see in the Southern region some pretty talented teams overall. Arizona gets a 2 seed there. That is also the draw that the Furman Paladins get. Good news, Furman's in. They're a 13 seed after winning the Southern Conference. Bad news for the Dins, they draw the Virginia Cavaliers. That is the team that not only put the nail in the coffin for the Tigers in the ACC semifinal, that is also the team that would then go on to win that conference. That's a very good Virginia team. Virginia is frustrating. Why? Because they clean the offensive glass and they clean it hard. That's what beat Clemson. It wasn't just that the Tigers panicked. Because this Furman team this year, in some big spots, showed a lot of composure, right? Furman this year had some, including in that SoCon championship final against the Mocs. Remember the team that a year ago hit a stone cold dagger from 30 feet out to rock the Dins and knock them out of last year's dance. Furman's as composed of a team as you could look for. But Virginia is too. In fact, and we mentioned that little opportunity that Clemson had at the end of the first half, right? It's like 3 minutes left. Clemson gets a steal. They're down 4. They bring it to the opposite end. They put up a 3. If the 3 sinks, Clemson's got momentum and a 1-point deficit. Instead, they break the 3. Virginia then gets not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive second shot opportunities off the offensive glass, hit them all, and Clemson's going down plus a dozen into halftime. And Virginia's got them, and honestly, should have been more because Virginia had the ball in a wide open look at 3 and just weren't paying attention to the clock and didn't get off a free 3 at the end of the half. Could have been 15. Furman gets a rough draw. Now, I'll tell you what would be great. A 13-4 upset. Right above them in that bracket is San Diego State University taking on the College of Charleston, who, by the way, have my favorite jerseys in basketball this year. The one that in script just says the college across the front. That's a freaking fantastic look. So, looking up and down the bracket, the thing I love to do the most is we got to circle some upsets, right? We got to circle some upsets. By the way, I will also tell you that the lady friend is going to be filling out a bracket for us this year. And you will all get your opportunity
You
to
say
see
us. You mean she's filling it out for you?
for the
too?
show. She's part of the show. She's going to be part of the
Oh.
Armada here.
Oh, okay. So we're still filling them out ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
I thought maybe she was just filling it out for all
Oh,
of us.
yeah. She's filling
'cause
out
that's-
Lonzo's bracket for him.
that's- Might as well.
Same odds.
Yeah, might as well. She probably has better basketball knowledge than I do. So, I mean,
So she'll be filling out a bracket. We will be doing an open bracket challenge. I will have that set up by this afternoon for you, the Armada, to jump in and compete. So let's take a look at some of the possible upsets that we have in the first round, because I went up and down, and there's a few, and I'm going to open with this one. 12-5s. There's one every year, right? It's, again, I don't draft on narrative. I don't fill out the bracket on narrative. But the 5-12 upset is a narrative for a reason. I got a couple of them. And I will open this one. Duke. Now, this is my least favorite. Why? Because the tournament is won by teams that get hot at the start. It is a game of runs is basketball, and it's a game of runs is the tournament itself. Duke playing some of the hottest basketball going into the postseason tournaments. But Earl Roberts is very interesting. They have got a 7'5" transfer in the middle named Connor Van Over. They have got Max Almas, who is a legit scoring threat against the best defenses in the country. And the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles turn the ball over fewer times than anybody else in the country. They are the most precise passing team in college basketball this year. The Blue Devils are about the 135th ranked team in the country when it comes to creating takeaways. They do not get takeaways very often or very easily. On the flip side, Oral Roberts does not give the ball away for free, hardly. So that creates a spot where Oral Roberts may have a few extra possessions. I am taking the Blue Devils in this one, but mark it down just in case. Arizona State going up against TCU. The Sun Devils get Nevada, and the model ultimately says that Arizona State is looking at like a 1-in-4 chance to upset TCU. Why? Arizona State is one of the most fast-paced offenses in basketball. TCU, on the other hand, is not a team that plays well in transition. They don't take a lot of transition threes. They don't get a lot of fast breaks. Arizona State plays high-intensity basketball. This game is an upset if and only if Arizona State dictates the pace of play to TCU. If they do, which is not easy to do because TCU is a team that very much controls, more often than not, very much controls the pace of play. But if Arizona State can rip that from them, if Arizona State can make this game a fast game, a game that they get up and down the floor, a game that TCU is forced to try to break presses and create opportunities, Arizona State can win that. Here's one for you. The UConn Huskies get Iona in round number 1. Iona wins the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference for the second time in 3 years. Who's the coach of the Iona Gales? Anybody playing the Rob Brown Show Home Edition? Brandon, who is it? Rick freaking Pitino. This is the 6th time in 8 years that Rick Pitino has won the conference. They did it on the back of a 14-game winning streak, and in 9 of those, they held opponents to 60 or fewer. They are ranked 8th in opponents' three-point field goal percentage defensively. What does UConn live and die by? The 3-ball. They live and die by having a high percentage of threes taken and made. When you live and die by the 3-ball, one of the things that it does is create a lot of defensive rebounds that if you can then turn around and have a high consistency of retaliatory buckets off of missed threes, you give yourself an opportunity. The Huskies load a front court, but they rank 2nd in 363 teams in rebound margin. So if Iona can't get the field goal percentage up, UConn goes 6'9", 6'8", 7'2" in the front court. But they don't rebound their own shots because the majority of them are taken in transition from deep. If Iona has a field goal percentage north of 47 in this one, Iona can win this game. How about this one? My man Hurricane Jeff's going to be upset about this. The Drake Bulldogs are on a tear, 16 of the last 18. They lost to Bradley at the end of the regular season.
Drake has his own college?
Sure does. I was going to make a Drake song reference there, but I couldn't think of the one I wanted to go with, so I bailed.
It's all right. It would have been lost on me anyway. I'm sure I've heard one before, but where's Drake College at?
The Drake Bulldogs are located in the Missouri Valley Conference, and they are located, Lonzo, in Des Moines, Iowa.
See, that's one of the cooler things about this tournament is a team like that gets to play against teams they never would have gotten to play against. Whether they win or not, at least they get to go up against them on one of the bigger stages or the biggest stage in college basketball.
And they catch the second best team in the ACC this year, the Miami Hurricanes. Number 1 seed in the tournament. Drake lost to Bradley. It was a bad loss. They played him in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship, beat him by 26. Was never close. They are 44th in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency. They are 25th in the country in the takeaway game. Miami is one of the hottest offensive teams in basketball. They averaged 79.4 points per game. But back in the ACC quarterfinal, Norchado Amie, who is one of the better players, a starting shooting forward for Miami, went down with a rolled ankle. He is a cat that is averaging over 13.5 points a game and is their leading rebounder. He's getting you almost 14 a game and getting you 10 boards a game. If he is unable to go And I don't know how bad that ankle injury is that he suffered against Duke in the ACC semi. But he suffered that ankle injury 1 minute, 6 seconds into that game. And Miami did not have an answer for the Duke Blue Devils after that. Now, I'm not arguing Drake's as good as Duke. But I am arguing that even though it's from a lower tier of basketball, they have a very high defensive efficiency ranking. Miami, if the offense is flowing for Miami, should have no problem. But without Omier, if they are not consistent and they're losing 10 boards and 15 points a game, it's interesting. It's interesting to me. How about this one? I actually really like Charleston as a potential upset bid here. They get San Diego State in the opening round. The Cougs are 31-3. I don't care what conference you play in. That's a tough mark to hit. They get a 12 seed. Charleston does something that most teams in the tournament can't do. They have one of the deepest rotations in basketball, and they give you the old 40 minutes of hell. You don't catch a breather, right? A lot of teams are going to pull their starters for 5-6 minutes a half or rotate their better players in and out 4 or 5 minutes a half, and you catch a little bit of a break. Charleston is arguably the most intense team in this tournament. The Cougs offensively own glass. They are one of the best offensive rebounding teams at the mid-major level. San Diego State, defensively, as a rebounding team, ranks in the bottom third nationwide. If the College of Charleston Cougars can wipe the offensive glass and get more second chance opportunities than they give up, look out. That one's got upset written all over it. I might pick that one, to be honest with you, but we'll see. So there's a couple of potential giant killers for you out of the gate for those of you that are already working on your bracket. Keegan said, who will the country adopt as their underdog of the tourney? Whoever goes on a run. But I'll tell you mine out the gate. I love the College of Charleston. Love them. Love them. Take a break, come back, wrap up hour number 2 on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Have Charleston.
I like that team. They're just intense. They don't let up.
They were ranked at one point.
First time since 1980, the Furman Paladins will be heading to the NCAA tournament on Selection Sunday. They were given a 13 seed. They will have Orlando, Florida Thursday for their opening round game against the Virginia Cavaliers out of the ACC. Furman won the SoCon tournament with 27-7. Charleston also dancing. The Cougars will be heading to Orlando as well Thursday. They'll take on the Aztecs of San Diego State in the opening round. The Cougars 31-3 this past season were seeded 12. The South Carolina women's basketball team will start their defending national championship run on Thursday in Columbia. The Gamecocks went 32-0 this season. Will face Norfolk State on Thursday. Here live, exclusive play-by-play coverage of March Madness only on the Fan Upstate. I'm Tony Naziri, and that's your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles.
Still rolling with the Auburn. You know what? Keegan doesn't give up. I respect that.
Mental health conversations. Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine talks about mental health in his family.
Mental health issues were very much a part of my household. It's okay to seek help. If you break your leg, it's okay to go to the doctor for a broken leg.
But why though?
If you're depressed, or if you feel suicidal, if you feel like anxious, it's okay to get help. And there are people who will help you.
Talk saves lives. For more mental health conversations, visit
By the way, someone earlier said something about watching the Kane documentary. I watched that too. It had already been done on WWE Network, but they added more stuff in this, and it was pretty cool. We went back to when you see someone who you think is doing well off, and you see where their parents live, and you wonder, did you not try to help them out? I'm not trying to be mean about that. And they may choose to be where they are, but they do show an inside look of Kane's Knox County mayor office. So it's a nice. He's got a killer view.
Like, I know every place is different, but the concept of a county mayor is weird.
I don't know if we got one in Lawrence County or not. I bet Gray Court's got a mayor. Yeah, I know they do. I don't know who it is right now. I remember playing at one of the outdoor festivals in Gray Court and looking out there and watching the mayor rocking.
No, but like that's a mayor of a town.
Right? It was an older black dude, and he's just getting it. It's like, yeah.
An entire county. He's the mayor of all the cities in a whole county. Like my county has a county commission. There's representatives from every district in the county.
So you're trying to say that they created the position just so Kane could have it? Because Kane said, I want to be mayor. And they said, yep. Ladies and gentlemen, mayor of the county.
Somebody make the joke of how appropriate is the name Big Red Machine now.
Well, they went extensively into how him being fake Diesel really helped him out. Because it helped him. It helped him come out of his shell.
Let's be honest.
He went from Isaac Yankem to that.
I was going to say,
yeah.
The character that gave us Glenn Jacobs was the prestigious Dr. Isaac Yankem, DMD. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you. Who's the favorites in this tournament? Who do we like? Who do we not like? Easy ones to take. The number one overall seed, Alabama. And so I had a conversation last Friday with the guys and gals over at BetQL. They were hitting up some of their talent. I use that word exceptionally loosely.
Name dropper.
But they were like, hey, Rob Brown, we want you in. Like, give me a Final Four. They wanted one Final Four team. Like, give us one Final Four team. And as much as I don't like cop-outs, sometimes you just got to go with the betting favorite. And I went Alabama. For a couple of reasons. Number one, Brandon Miller is, despite how you feel about the controversy around him, the best basketball player in college basketball this year. Brandon Miller is averaging nearly 20 points a game and shooting 41% ... from behind the arc. He's a 41% shooting three-point shot. He is the SEC Player of the Year. He is a projected lottery pick. He's also a guy that is facing some criticism for what happened away from the court that resulted in the death of that young lady on the campus at Alabama. But Alabama finished the SEC, a very good conference this year in basketball. Actually, probably the best they've ever been, with 2 losses in that conference. 2 in total. They are one of just 3 teams in the last 3 seasons to beat Houston in H-Town. I don't know what the ceiling is for this team, but winning the NCAA championship is under that limit. They are that good. Then I don't think that you can discount what happens to a team mentally when they reach a spot where they truly believe it is them against the world. And right now, Bama feels that way. Maybe because it's them against the world, and everybody else wants to see them fail. And for the first time, it's not just because they're Alabama. It's because of the Brandon Miller fiasco.
Okay, that aside, do people feel that way about Alabama in basketball? I get it in football, but in basketball?
They feel that way about Alabama. People don't like to see happy Bama fans, all right? We want all the surrender cobras from Bama fans.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, surrender cobra. You know that for those of you not watching the stream, which you should be at facebook.com/thefanupstate or on Twitter or on YouTube by the Fan Upstate or on Twitch for the Rob Brown Show, that exasperation, fam, when you realize you're done and you lock your fingers behind your head and you just kind of lean back.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with the rest.
No, it's
because they're putting your hands behind your head.
We could call it the Brandon Miller post.
Okay, you could.
Alabama has an us against the world philosophy all the time. This team now knows that most fans want to see them bounced early. That's terrifying. Houston, Kansas, and Purdue, your other 3 1 seeds. Bad news for Purdue. 4-4 in their last 8 entering the Big Ten tournament and have been on a sloppy tear through it. I don't love Purdue. I do love Alabama. Who you guys got? We'll do some bracket talk as the week progresses. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
I'm on I don't like Alabama.
Only Alabama likes Alabama.
I'm from Alabama.
So you're an Auburn guy or just don't like Alabama?
I'm a University of Hawaii guy.
Why?
I got married in Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man, did I screw that up? Dude.
CBS Sports Radio.
So I'm a big fan of Hawaii.
The Warriors.
Yep.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well,
what happened?
I edited the CBS thing, which is weird. I usually don't do that, but
and that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at
yeah, I'm gonna be mad about that the
ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
rest of the day.
Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get
And it's weird because it suddenly had an end date on it, which it should not have. It should be open-ended. I don't know.
ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you
At least I
candidates
caught it
who are a
before.
great match for your job, and you can
Got
even
too
invite your
bad.
top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Hi, it's Gary David with Travis Benson, the owner of CNT Foundations.
Uh.
Sinking Foundation can give a homeowner a sinking feeling. How can you help? At CNT
That, of course, messed up my timing on the
Foundation experts, not
timing it out to the top.
as general contractors. We offer lifetime solutions and real peace of mind.
Call 864-581-3341. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts.
Celebrate Cleveland's music scene every Thursday night at Piedmont Natural Gas Downtown Alive, presented by Clemson MBA. Join us for a free admission outdoor street party featuring live music in Noma Square. Piedmont Natural Gas Downtown Alive, Thursday evenings, March 16th through August 31st. Visit GVilleEvents.com for more info.
Lowe's always has more ways for you to save. On top of our everyday low prices, pros can save big when buying in bulk.
Forgot to post the first hour.
Ask about our volume savings program. A pro associate can provide a customized quote. Ask about our volume savings programs today. It always pays to be a pro at Lowe's. While supplies last, minimum purchase required. Selection varies by location. Lowe's reserves the right to unique quantities. Volume discount pricing quotes are valid up to 7 days. Visit your local phone desk to learn more and start saving. Offers subject to change may not be available in all those stores.
Wendy's 2 for $6 lets you mix and match some of our best items. Dave single with the 10-piece crispy nuts.
Shouldn't be. If you're hearing it, it's just because I was quiet, Steven. That's all. Maybe you just got your volume up too loud, which is weird listening to this show if you have your volume up really loud. Thank you, though. I didn't do anything. I didn't. Now, you may have saw me reach my hand. I reached my hand to hit something and noticed I didn't need to. So, you know what it is? I think Rob's head is blocking the speakers when he sat down. So, no. I mean, no.
Over there.
Yeah, so the microphone is now wants to listen to Rob, so you couldn't hear it.
That's fair.
Really, I do think it's you sitting down stopped it from picking things up. Now it's just hearing your breathing. QC connects, which is good because the opposite of not breathing is death. QC connects in the first break. The journey to the tourney. By the way, the KFC code to play Diablo works. Yes, I got the code yesterday. They'll email you the code after you purchase it, and it's yeah. You gotta have a BattleNet account though. Yeah. Yeah.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Rob Brown, hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass today.
By the way, next week, I probably will be giving you a FaceTime call when I go out to purchase some new shoes and make sure that they are Rob Brown approved. But will you pull the swerve on me and go, oh yeah, no, those are cool, and then I come back and find out that those are also Dad Kicks.
Let me.
Are you going to do that because you are now my a fashion consultant when it comes to footwear?
Let me earn the label of egotistical that I'm saddled with so frequently by saying this, Lonzo. Whether you like it or not, I sound like my old man. This is what he used to say about me, right? When young Rob wanted a pair of Jinko jeans when they were all the rage, the big ones, right?
Yeah, I don't know what those are, but I'm sure they were cool because you wanted them.
Go ahead and Google JNCO, Jinko. In fact, I'll even take you one step further. Go ahead and Google JNCO elephant.
Okay, so those are just
giant jeans.
Yeah, it's like parachute pants, but they're jeans. Okay.
But to some degree, there were some that the foothole, Lonzo, I'm not exaggerating, was this big around. Right? Like they were enormous and they were the rage This was like pre-Limp Bizkit era.
I'm just curious though, when a fad like this comes along, and even though you're a kid, do you stop to think why?
No.
You just because everyone else is
Everybody's
doing it.
You gotta do it. You can't roll up in your Levi 501s when the quarterback's got on Jinkos, right? So, as my old man said to me, when he did what he could to prevent me from taking my money that I had earned and buying my first and only pair of Jinkos, whether you like it or not, when you go out and people recognize you, you represent me as well as yourself, right? It's not just about you. It's about me. It's about the legacy. It's about the image. And the reason that young Rob Brown got to live on a golf course and go skiing on his off days was because of the fact that my dad was kind of somebody within the community, right? So his whole thing was, if you want all that to continue, people need to have a high view of me. And if you roll out looking like a skater dude, but like a real bad poser knockoff one, it's a bad look.
So if you were, and we know it's not going to happen because you hate them, but if you were to have children and they reach the age that they want to dress their own way, would you go the opposite? Because there are kids out there, my dad was too strict, my mom wouldn't let me do anything. When I have a kid, I'm going to let them do whatever they want when it comes to that.
Well, I would open up with saying that I'm a 38-year-old man who predominantly wears hockey, basketball, and baseball jerseys with ripped jeans to work. So it's not exactly like my old man was day-to-day suit and tie. Day-to-day suit and tie. That ain't me. But I would also say, yes, I feel that allowing your kids to express their individualism when they're kids make them more likely to be willing to live up to certain social norms as opposed to rebelling and going hard the opposite direction.
I think we all know, Rob, you're not going out like that. Go back
Absolutely
and change.
Not. Because again, anyway, the reality here, Zoe, is that when Lonzo goes out, you are a representative to some degree of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
And WRD.
And the Upstate Pulse. And everybody's
Odyssey.
favorite
Yes.
show, Ray D and Dio.
Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of the most.
So, yes, I would absolutely say, Lonzo, that if you give us the old FaceTime and pick out a pair of kicks that are dad kicks, I am going to say those are dad kicks. And if you pick out a pair of acceptable kicks, I will let you know that's a good set of sneaks for you. You're good. You're going to get away with that. All right?
All right. Roger on the stream says, Lonzo, I'll go shoe shopping with you. Two old dudes on a dead sexy shoe date at Hauser Shoes and Taylor's need to get me a pair of hookahs.
I got a pair of hookah flips, and they are solid.
What the heck's a hookah?
It's a company. It's a shoe company.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Make great flip-flops, though.
I thought it was like the thing that from Alice in Wonderland.
No, that's also a hookah, and actually have one of those, and they're delightful.
Okay. How many hoses do you have coming out
Just
of it?
one.
Okay.
But you can get an adapter.
But is it really a hookah?
Oh, it's from Saudi
Is
Arabia.
it really a hookah?
Yeah.
If it only has one hose.
Yeah. Still is.
Thought
So
hookahs were made for sharing, Rob.
the point is, I want you, Lonzo. I need you swagged out. Swagged out.
Well, we both know that I have limited funds because radio. So I mean, there's a range
Still
in
need
there.
you swagged out.
There's a range in there.
So I tell you what, when Lonzo is off on his vacay next week, I need you to plan your shoe shopping adventure within showtime.
Well, I was going to.
I need it during the show. You can jump in on the stream live during the show. Here's what I need you to do.
I'm going to get a haircut next week too. So, I mean,
I don't care about that.
No.
We'll
I
stick
mean,
with the priorities here.
but, my haircut needs to match my shoes, right?
No, I don't know how you would match the haircut to the kicks. We just got to get you kicks that
Something
match
groovy.
up. So I need you to go during the show. I need you to head to the shoe store. I need you to pick out like 4 or 5 pairs you're in for. then I need you to jump on the stream from your cell phone, and we collectively, as the Armada, will guide you in your purchasing.
All right, this is very tempting, but I'm wondering if I need to ask permission from the shoe store before I start broadcasting live from
Nah,
it.
you're fine. You're fine. Just do it. You're fine.
Wow. Okay. So when I tell them it's okay, Rob said it was all right, then it'll be good.
100%.
Okay.
By the way, to round out that story about Rob's Jinkos, I would like to point out that I did go through with the purchase of the Jinkos. I put them on when I got to the house, and my old man, out of desperation, hit me with, if you do not ever wear those outside of this house, I will get you a Nintendo 64.
Winner.
Yep.
Winner.
Yep. So Rob traded the Jinkos to the old man for a Nintendo 64 and GoldenEye, which I'm glad I did, because that was really the genuine start of the gamer lifestyle of One Rob Brown.
What a
Dad was desperate to
No,
keep me
no,
from
no.
going out in the Jinkos.
what a move by a guy who understood what his son valued most. It wasn't style. It wasn't style. It was video games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He knew it. I mean, all the cool kids had an N64. So it was like, I'll tell you what, you will still end up with something that the kids want to have, and you won't embarrass me by dressing like an idiot. Because let's be real, for the 8 of us that rocked Jinkos back in the day, we look back at those pictures now with a solid, oh, what was that?
So when Rob's up in his room and he's playing his Nintendo 64,
Correct. It was a two-story house.
While yeah, of course.
Yeah.
1%ers don't live in a ranch style home. So are you wearing your Jinkos while you're playing your
No, I had to give him the Jinkos.
Oh, you actually had to give him.
I had to
Okay.
trade
all right.
him the Jinkos for an N64.
Did you ever wonder what he did with them?
I have no idea. No, I assume that they met a very quick demise.
Like maybe on the fire pit or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Never saw him again.
Okay.
Got GoldenEye.
No.
And NFL Blitz, by the way. The one with
Good
Cordell
move.
Stewart on the cover. Dope game.
Good move. But any chance that the dad,
No, none.
threw those on and
None.
went out? Okay.
First off, my dad then was the size that I am now. So no.
Like anyone could tell with those kind of jeans. I mean, come on.
All right, let's get into some sports and stuff, shall we? We have run through a couple of things so far on the show, predominantly the NCAA bracket in the last hour, and some repercussions, some thoughts, some fades from the Carolina-Chicago trade. One angle we have not addressed this from yet is how this changes and what changes it makes to the objectives of the Carolina Panthers as we move through the last few weeks before the draft. We are now about a month and 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, April 27th in Kansas City. So what now? Carolina now holds the number 1 overall pick. They also have the 39th overall pick. That is the second round pick that they received in compensation from the Carolina Panthers, or from the San Francisco 49ers.
Them there 49ers. You got to watch out for them.
From the 49ers in the Christian McCaffrey trade. So Carolina's sitting with 1 and 39. We won't go way back down the rabbit hole, but I told Lonzo that I absolutely believe there is the possibility, not probability, but possibility that the Carolina Panthers could trade back out of number 1 overall. Now, there are only 2 teams that would move into that spot. The Houston Texans at number 2, the Indianapolis Colts at number 4. If the Texans were to move back, it would solely be because they have a priority between Stroud and Young. They truly believe one of those 2 guys is the guy. They can move from 2 to 1 in order to guarantee that they get that guy. If Carolina and Houston both have one of those two guys, Young or Stroud, as the guy, then Carolina's not going to move, right? Because at the end of the day, the only goal that the Cats are going to have on draft day is to walk out of there with a franchise quarterback. Whether it's a project quarterback like Levis or Richardson, or a guy that they believe to be plug and play like Stroud or Young, they must end day one with the quarterback. If they were going to end day one with any other position, they don't make the move that they made. So now we know their goal is absolutely to end day one with a QB. Question is which one and what spot? If they in Houston agree between Stroud and Young that one of those dudes is the dude, they're not going to move. If they have any thought that Stroud and Young are right in level with each other, right in step, they both had the same probability of being long-term successes, then moving back to 2 is fine if you believe that it's a 50-50 crapshoot on which one works out. If they believe that's the case, they can move back to 2. They can probably get their second rounder back that they had to give to Chicago, or maybe get an extra one next year. We'll see. But they can get something back to drop back one spot and still end up with one of those two guys. The popular thought right now, and it depends again on what book you look at, but as of right now, Bryce Young still has the shorter odds in Vegas to end up as the number 1 overall pick. It is still believed that Bryce Young is going first overall. Now, if that is the case, and they really do truly believe, I have an update here, though. This has changed since Friday. Friday, Bryce Young was sitting about minus 175 to go first overall. I didn't look at it over the weekend because I already made my play on it. I might go back and hedge. Bryce Young started at minus 175-ish to be the first overall pick. I think the shortest odds I saw was at like minus 115. Today, 3 days, 2.5 days after the trade between Carolina and Chicago, CJ Stroud is now minus 300 to be the first overall pick. So Vegas believes that as of today, Carolina made the jump just to get CJ Stroud. So this number, if I'm interpreting it correctly, this number says Carolina's drafting CJ Stroud. If Vegas thought that there was the possibility of a switch here, then I think that number is probably closer to like 150, minus 150, minus 175. That being said, again, speculation. It could also mean that there is smoke to the rumor that Carolina could move back from 1 to 2 and that Houston could jump up because they are enamored with CJ Stroud and Carolina's fine with Bryce Young. But that's not my bet.
Spin.
We got to analyze every possibility here. Here's how I'll say it. Rob Brown does not have a lean that Stroud or Young are definitely going to be better than the other.
Rob Brown not saying that Stroud or Young are going to be better, but Rob Brown is saying that whatever he says, Rob Brown that is, he just said. Yeah.
You nailed that one, Zoe. You nailed that one. Rob Brown
That's basically what I just heard. So, I mean, you know.
Rob Brown does not have a lean that CJ Stroud will be better than Bryce Young or that Bryce Young will be better than CJ Stroud. I don't have a pick. The question mark here is, do the Houston Texans, right? Do the Houston Texans and do the Carolina Panthers?
I do have a question, and because obviously you asked a question because you don't have the answer. How soon can a team sign the number 1 draft pick? Because I know they can sign them
Soon as they
before the
draft
draft. No, I think you can sign them before that.
I think you can have the conversation about the contract before the draft.
Because I'm pretty sure that draft picks have been signed before draft day.
I believe you can have the discussion, but you can't officially sign the contract because you don't own the rights to that guy, right? You don't own the rights to him yet. You've got to earn the rights first. So I suspect.
Yeah, but you've earned the rights by being the number one pick.
No, you have not. You have to draft him to own the rights, right? If I take a car for a test drive and I really like it and I go back and I tell the dealer that's the one that I want, that doesn't mean I own that car. I got to go in and sign the paperwork. But again, Carolina's not in a hurry to make that move because again, this is all hypotheticals. I just said the word again 3 times in one sentence. That's pretty impressive. You're not in a hurry because you don't know what's next either. You don't know that the Houston Texans don't have such a favorable lean towards one or the other that they don't call you on draft day and go, yo, 2 seconds, a third to switch picks with us here. That's a big haul to drop back a single spot, right? So unless you also have the same feeling that one or the other is a definite long-term franchise quarterback, moving back a single spot, letting them have their guy, you taking the other guy and picking up a few picks along the way, isn't a bad move. But what I'm more intrigued by is the gamble. Like Kenny Rogers over here. It's all about the gamble. And here's the gamble. The Indianapolis Colts now know that they are blocked off from the 2 ready-made quarterbacks, Young and Stroud.
So you're saying they've got to know when to fold them?
I mean,
because they don't hold them. The Panthers do.
The Panthers currently hold them. And so I'd say it's the Panthers that got to know when to hold them, right? The question mark here is if the Colts are not willing to roll the dice. And listen, all of this could absolutely be for nothing if Indy believes, like I do, that Anthony Richardson might be the guy with the highest ceiling at this position in the draft. Not that he is the best quarterback, but that he has the highest ceiling of all the quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson's physical build and raw athletic talent make him the guy with the highest ceiling in this draft. That's why he's a top 4 pick. You don't get a lot of 6'4", 244s that run a 4.3, 4.4 40 and can throw the ball over their mountains. There's just not that many of them, right? So while he has shown that he falls apart in some spots, Florida versus Vanderbilt, he's also shown that in the right spot, Florida versus South Carolina, he can kick all the butts and just grill you with raw athletic ability. So if Indy believes that Anthony Richardson is worth the time and investment, then they might not want to move, and this is a moot point. But I haven't heard that be the case yet. We know the teams that are interested in Anthony Richardson. Carolina jumped out to the front of that list. Seattle is on that list. Atlanta's on that list. Those are the 3 we know about. That's not to say we know everything. But there's a lot of smoke out there despite the efforts to throw up smoke screens. If Indianapolis believes Anthony Richardson is worth the investment, worth the time, worth giving a year to sit and learn, and they're willing to do that, maybe it's with Matt Ryan, maybe it's not, then they're probably not going to give up a haul to leapfrog Houston and get Stroud or Young. But if they believe that Stroud or Young are predetermined franchise quarterbacks ready to roll, and Carolina values Anthony Richardson, if Carolina has the approach, as I've heard a lot of their fans say, in a move that I don't agree with, we're still a year or 2 away, right? We're still a year or 2 away. And which, by the way, without DJ Moore, it does push you back a little bit unless you hit on the guy, right? If you find a Michael Thomas in this draft, a Marcus Colston in this draft, then yeah, you're right back into it. But if the Panthers feel the same way that their fans do, that they are a year or two away from being true, genuine contenders, then switching with Indy, going to 4, getting Anthony Richardson, finding a vet gap quarterback, and picking up a couple of seconds in a third or whatever the price might be from Houston or Indy is a great move. It's a great move. How do you find a wide receiver that's going to be your next DJ Moore? And make sure you keep that salary cap in place so you can bring Deontay Foreman back? You go draft 3 or 4 wide receivers over the next 2 drafts, and you play the law of averages. If I draft 4 or 5 wide receiver, the odds are one of them's going to be good. It's not a guarantee, but the law of averages says one's likely going to be good. So you play those odds. What's the move for Carolina? That's the question we have for you guys. What's the right move? Stay at 1 and take Stroud. Stay at 1 and take Young. Stay at 1 and take Richardson. Trade back with Houston to 2 and get either Stroud or Young or Richardson. Or trade back to 4 with Indy. Roll the dice that Arizona doesn't screw you by trading out of number 3 and get Richardson. Or roll the dice that they do screw you. You lose out on Richardson and you're with Will Levis rolling forward. Now I got a battle between Levis and Matt Corral to see who the future is. What are your thoughts? 844-326-3663, 844-FAN phone, or text us 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, got a live read. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Zion than I am.
I think New Orleans wins the division with Derek Carr.
If it was today, they do.
He's real Derek Carr. I want him to come to Atlanta.
Somebody pointed out.
You're right,
Derek
Kagan. That was my point earlier.
Derek Carr's stats
Oh, what
to
did I
his
just
career
do?
right now are equal to Drew Brees.
Didn't
Now,
know you could do that.
I would also argue that at this point in his career, Drew Brees had also played like 5 seasons with Sean Payton, and he's going to play for Dennis Allen. Huh?
How are you beside yourself? You can only be you. If you're beside yourself, then you're twins, right? I don't get that phrase, beside myself. I am beside myself.
Did I
No,
tell
you're
you
not,
I
because you
learned-
can't be beside yourself.
I think it means that you're so mad that you have to like separate it.
No,
It's a metaphor.
it's stupid. I only use metaphors that make sense. That one doesn't.
Lonzo, will you do me a favor? Will you grab the glass? Because we've got some breaking news here on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books with BetQL. Grab that BetQL app now and help yourself win some money, ladies and gentlemen. All right. It has just come across my desk from ESPN that Carolina is currently engaged in talks with a number of free agents. Bradley Bozeman is on that list. We know that Shaq Thompson, they're trying to restructure and get him back in Carolina. And the other free agent that they are currently and actively engaged in conversation with, Lonzo, is Sam Darnold. They have had discussions. I do not know if they have yet to make an offer to Sam Darnold, but they are having conversations.
Yeah, but Rashad talked about that like last week, and I believe the week before that and I've seen reports that they've been talking to Sam Darnold. I don't know how that's breaking news because you got to have a capable backup, and that's what Sam Darnold is. He's not a starter in the NFL. He's a capable backup, and you also want to have that veteran presence in the room when you're about to bring in a rookie. And if you keep Matt Corral, which you will, you've got basically 2 rookies in a room. You got to have a veteran in there. Might as well be Sam Darnold.
Here's the theory that I have. The frustration for the great one continues to rise. Understandably so. The theory that I have would be this. You're right. We have talked multiple times about Sam Darnold and why you would bring in Sam Darnold. The answer to why you would bring in Sam Darnold, I think, is to go ahead and start getting the next guy ready, whoever that next guy is going to be. But most of y'all, and I'm not saying that you are wrong, I'm saying I'm not fully on board yet. Most of y'all seem to believe that Stroud and Young are day one starters, right? Like they're ready out the gate. They will show up and be named QB1 on spring
By the
training
way,
day one.
it doesn't mean they're ready. It just means they'll be starters out of the gate.
Most of y'all seem to be ready, willing to plug them in as QB1s out of the gate. And I get it. I honestly don't know entirely whether I agree or don't yet. But that seems to be the way that most of you feel, and I accept it. I don't know that you bring Sam Darnold back unless you're not planning on having a day one starter. Because I don't think Sam Darnold I do not think that Sam Darnold is a great starting NFL quarterback. All right. I'm not trying to make that argument as of this moment in time. What I will say is that Sam Darnold is a dude that is going to get some level of benefit of the doubt, much like he did when he left the New York Jets. And a lot of y'all said, hang on, why are we going this direction? And my answer was because a lot of NFL teams have not given up on Sam Darnold. A lot of NFL teams believe that Adam Gase screwed Sam Darnold, right? Brett didn't screw Brett, or Vince didn't screw Brett. Brett screwed Brett. There's going to be a lot of people who look at Sam Darnold and go, Adam Gase was hot garbage. Matt Rule was somehow hotter garbage. This dude has genuinely still not had a chance to prove himself as a viable starter. Not excellent starter, not Pro Bowl starter, but a viable starter. And I think somebody rolls the dice, right? I think somebody rolls the dice. Now, the bad news for Sammy D is that most of the teams that he could have potentially latched onto and given another chance, a third chance, most of them are in position to get a quarterback through the draft. The ones that are not, the Jets, they're working on contracts with guys like Rodgers, Garoppolo, etc., who are all more valuable than Sam Darnold. But somebody's going to get stuck. Somebody's going to get hosed. Somebody's going to get shafted. And when they do, the door potentially opens. You bring in Sam Darnold and you say, you got a year. You got a year while we get quarterbacks X ready. You got a year. And one of two things happens. Either you come in here under a guy known for having quarterbacks reemerge on his watch, or, and you do such a damn good job that you get a second year. You're just so good that we keep you around. Or you come in here, you give us 1 year, you play your ass off, and next year you are considered a starter. Next year you're back on the free agency market and somebody gives you starting quarterback number. All I'm saying here is I don't think Darnold is a cat that right now is going to be willing to sign on as a QB2. And if the Cats feel the way that most of y'all do, that Stroud or Young are day one starters, I don't necessarily think he wants to come in knowing he is entering a QB controversy with a rookie, with a rook. I may be reading between the lines that are between the lines. But if they are making offers to Sam Darnold, it leads me to believe that they think Richardson is going to end up in the pocket. We know that there's a lot of love there. We have seen multiple reports come out and say Carolina's in love. Frank Reich specifically is in love with Anthony Richardson. Sam Darnold plays a quasi-similar style. He would be there for a single year, and he gives AR that year for growth while he tries to earn a starting opportunity by proving it was Adam Gase's fault, it was Matt Rule's fault, it was not my fault. And I think that theory holds water, frankly.
It's a beautiful story, and you tell it so well. About the Richardson thing. Come on.
But?
Come on. Stop with the Richardson thing. Stop it. You're not trading up to number one to take the third or fourth quarterback. You're not doing that. You're just not.
You don't trade up to number one to take the third or fourth quarterback. You do trade back to number 4 to take the third or fourth quarterback.
I agree with, I think it was Keegan who said it makes them look foolish if they do that. And and it does.
The third person today to say that. And my question
and
would be,
I agree with all of them.
My question would be, why?
Yeah, why move up to 1 if you're going to move back? You're right. That is a great question. Why would you do that? And nothing you've said makes sense to me.
All right.
As far as that goes.
We know what we traded to Chicago.
I'm steadfast in what I want to happen. So I mean, and I have been.
Let me say this. What I am about to say is not meant to change Lonzo's mind, because I can't. All right. What I am going to say now is to make an argument to the rest of y'all. The Bears received DJ Moore, who I value as a first-round pick. Anybody object to that? Didn't think so. So they effectively get 2 firsts and 2 seconds for the number 1 overall pick. DJ in next year's first, and then a pair of second-rounders. Why would you trade up to 1 to then trade back again? Because Joey B said it makes them look incompetent. Keegan said it makes them seem foolish. He also said Derek Carr has the best eyeliner in the league.
I got to say,
It's a guy liner.
It's a great day in history when Keegan and Joe and I all agree on something.
My own dudes are coming after me.
Yeah,
now.
I mean,
My own guys are coming at me now. Let me make the argument.
That's funny, Steven.
Let me make the argument. Say Richardson one more time. Let me make the argument. You gave up DJ in a first, so 2 firsts, DJ in a first, and 2 seconds to get to number 1. Now you're sitting at number 1, and as Fitterer said, quote, we now control the draft, which is true, right? Nobody does anything until Carolina does something.
We now control the draft.
No word on if he twirled a curly mustache when he said it. You do control the draft because nobody can do anything until Carolina does something. 2 firsts, 2 seconds gone. If, theoretically, the Houston Texans say Bryce Young's our guy, right? Like we value him so much higher than CJ Stroud that we don't even want to take the risk, the 50% shot in the dark that he's left when we come on the clock at number 2.
All right, this is not breaking news, but Adam Schefter says when the negotiating window for free agency opens in under an hour, the Texans and Raiders are expected to go after Jimmy Garoppolo.
Sure. Texans, interesting.
If the Texans get Jimmy Garoppolo, that throws all your things.
It doesn't, though, because I think they're going to look at Jimmy G the same way I'm talking about Sam Darnold in Carolina. And by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Come on. Are you really saying that? You're comparing Jimmy Garoppolo to Sam Darnold.
Not their ability, their situation. Yes.
Okay.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, first and foremost, if those are the only teams going after Garoppolo, Garoppolo's a Raider.
Well, they say also that the Jets have interest, but we know what they're waiting on.
Yeah, the Jets have interest if they can't get Aaron Rodgers. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, by Houston, is looked at this way, the way that Sam Darnold's looked at, in my theory, by Carolina.
If Jimmy Garoppolo goes to Houston and makes them a winner, a lot of people need to throw up some apologies and then shut up for the rest of their lives.
Damn. Coming in hot. And again, for the record, all of this speculation, all these hypotheses that I'm throwing out are based on what it looks like today, right? Negotiations start today. Free agency officially starts on Wednesday. And we've got to see where Rodgers goes, where Garoppolo goes, where Wentz goes, where Matt Ryan goes. We got to see where all these guys land. Because if one of them lands in Indianapolis, throws a wrench into it. If one of them lands in Vegas, throws a wrench into it. Atlanta, throws a wrench into it, right? Now, I'm not super worried about the New York Jets. They don't really have the firepower, nor do I think the desire to get somebody to fall from 1, 2, 3, or 4 all the way down to where are they picking? 19, whatever it is. But my theory works today with Sam Darnold getting talked to by Carolina and the fact that Carolina has not snubbed the rumors that a trade back is possible. That they look and they go, we're going to give Sammy Deere 1 year. If he comes out and he plays Pro Bowl football, he sticks around with us. If he doesn't, he can earn starters money elsewhere while Anthony Richardson gets ready. We can trade back to 2, still end up with Stroud or Young. We can trade back to 4, and unless Arizona screws us, get Richardson. And if Arizona does screw us, get Levis. Again, y'all keep saying Carolina looks foolish if they trade back. If they can get back both second rounders by moving back 1 or 3 spots and still get a dude, that's not foolish. That's a long play. That's a long play. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap this bad boy up. Joey B says if Jimmy G has half a brain, he goes to Vegas. Adams, Renfro, Waller, Jacobs. It's a Ferrari of an offense begging someone to drive it. That's exactly right. In fact, I know that the Jets are making the play, but Aaron Rodgers should be looking at Las Vegas more than anybody else since he gets to effectively call his shot.
What's that say about Derek Carr?
That he and Josh McDaniels hated each other and that Josh McDaniels is a joke of an offensive coordinator / head coach. Derek Carr is the future, Lonzo. The future. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
He could be.
The
don't know.
future. Bing, 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 bing.
Let's see if I can edit this correctly.
South Carolina women's basketball team got the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Thursday, they'll open up their defending championship run against Norfolk State in Columbia. The Gamecocks won 32-0 this past season. On the men's side, Furman will take on Virginia Cavaliers on Thursday in Orlando, Florida. The Paladins on San Diego State. Hear live exclusive play-by-play coverage of March Madness only on the Fan Upstate. I'm Tony Gaziri, and that's your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Patrick Claybon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Jalen Ramsey is heading back to Florida, this time to South Beach. The Rams have agreed to trade the All-Pro corner to the Dolphins for a third-round pick and tight end Hunter Long. Ramsey also adjusted his contract and will make an additional $25 million guaranteed in Miami. Elsewhere, the Commanders locked up the commander-in-chief of their D-line. Pro Bowl D-tackle Deron Payne will sign a 4-year, $90 million contract with the team. Could Baker Mayfield be Tom Brady's replacement in Tampa? NFL
All right, so tomorrow, you're just going to jump in here and it's going to be smooth sailing, right? This is the last show for you to be trained on. I mean, you should be master of this, or at least pretty good at it.
Who missed all of last season following a knee surgery. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
So come Wednesday, I'm going to sit over there and use that microphone right there. That particular microphone, that specific microphone right over there is the one I'm going to use.
Any particular reason you're picking that?
Because I like that microphone. And really what it comes down to, this is my room. I use whatever microphone I want, except for that one. That's Rob's.
From local town councils to Capitol Hill, agents who are realtors are standing up for what's right. We're here protecting property rights. Here advocating for the issues that affect our neighborhoods. Here championing fair and equitable housing for all. Because we are realtors, bound by a code of ethics, driven to serve our communities. We're here for it all. Here for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Ray Magliotti here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you
Also, so if we're gonna come back around 50, then go ahead and have
no thank you at all.
Twitter trending topics put in the stack. If not, then put it in 2 and wait, because at 50, that's when we're gonna hit it. So
Keegan.
So we're gonna be close enough that I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there. And then get rid of the rejoin because that will replace the rejoin. If this thing messes up again, then I'll know it's the cart. And that would mean that I didn't mess up. And I like that.
Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay,
Will it really be 29 degrees tomorrow in Charlotte? Oh, that sucks. Or in Charleston?
Have fun with that.
Maybe when it's that cold down there in Charleston, you could get out the ice skates and skate on the river.
The river.
Chris Lindstrom signed a 5-year, $105 million extension with the Falcons.
Who did?
Who?
Chris Lindstrom.
Yeah, that's the who. I really don't know who that is.
And then they got that trade with the New England Patriots.
It's easy. Auto Trader. From the Ingles Market Studio. Go.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM.
From the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
Now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending. He will tell us why. The first thing that's trending is Clemson.
So,
sorry, I really tried to get that out without laughing. I
send all hate mail courtesy of the great one. The Tigers
like I don't already get that.
bounced from the NCAA tournament. Their loss to Virginia in the ACC semifinal may not have been the death blow, but the lack of a win in that game most certainly was, when coupled with the L's to South Carolina, Loyola Chicago, Louisville, and Boston College. It was just too bad of a look with the L's. And again, as I mentioned, because I saw social media blow up that NC State, a team that Clemson was 3-0 against with an average margin of victory of over 20 points, did get in, and Clemson did not. This is not a conspiracy. And I can point to Texas A&M as proof. A&M had wins over Bama. They had wins over Tennessee, Missouri, Auburn, Arkansas, all tournament quality teams. Yet instead of being the 4 or 5 seed that most of us thought they were going to be, they end up as a 7 seed and catch a very good Penn State team out of the gate. And if they win that, a Final Four contender in Texas after that. Why? Because they had losses like the Wofford Terriers, like Colgate, etc. Those L's are more damaging than dubs against Q1 teams are encouraging. They got punished for it, but because they had so many Q1 wins against SEC caliber and number 1, 2, 3, and 4 seed teams, they got the jump in, even though it's at a mid-tier level. This is not a grand conspiracy. This is not everybody hates Clemson. Those L's, as I've been telling you for 4 weeks, are going to do damage, and this is how bad it was.
All right. Disclaimer here. Not really a disclaimer. Defense, possibly. It definitely was trending on my timeline, so I wouldn't bring that up just to cause pain to a certain fan base, because I'm not that guy. I'm not. All right. The next thing that's trending is Top Gun.
So the Oscars were last night?
Apparently.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was busy watching Team USA get its ass kicked in the World Baseball Classic till 1:30 and stayed up to watch us get hammered. Ugh. Anyway, there was on social media quite the debate raging, Lonzo, of people who thought that Top Gun Maverick should win all the awards and people who thought that it should have been nominated for 0 awards. But my favorite moment was Twitter created a new award for Top Gun Maverick. There was a lady who sent out a tweet that got found from last year when that movie dropped that said the moment when Tom Cruise hits a bullseye in the movie, somebody's dad in the back went, "It's how it's done," as if he was a badass fighter pilot himself. So everybody said it should win the award for making dads feel awesome in the movie theater. And I'm not a dad, but I respect that.
Rob still hasn't seen it, and it's just more proof that if you make a lot of money, which is why you make a movie, you're not going to win any awards. Every something won it. And usually a movie that most people have not watched, you could tell by box office, wins the thing. All right, the next thing that's trending, the last thing that's trending is Baker Mayfield.
So I feel awful for Baker Mayfield. And here's why. Baker got a raw deal on his exit from Cleveland. Baker went to Carolina under Matt Rule. Did not go well. He goes to Los Angeles, has a decent showing under Sean McVay, and now he's back out there. And who is interested in signing him? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another team in the NFC South, like all of them, with a crap head coach who doesn't know what he's doing. Sorry, Todd Bowles, great defensive coordinator, but you were in over your head. There was no excuse for having the offensive weapons you had last year in Fournette, Godwin, Evans, etc. Tom Brady at QB, and only winning the division because the division was a steaming pile.
By the way, real quick, I don't think Rob meant Frank also in that. You talk about crap head coaches.
Yes, last year.
Yeah.
Last year's crap head coaches, correct. That's it for the show today, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back tomorrow, we'll have even further thoughts about the trade. We'll start really doing some mock drafts, and we got to pick brackets, kids. All that and more on tomorrow's edition of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. That, as Chris Farley said, is correct. The L's doomed the Tigers. That's just all it came down to. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all spectacular human beings, and I appreciate greatly.
Yeah, I can agree with you because Kevin wasn't on here today.
We'll see y'all back here tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out. You're the best, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Goodbye.